Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be diving in and talking about making big, bold business moves. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this, and we're flipping the script today. Jessica Maine is back with me again. You may remember Jessica from the episode on the entrepreneurial roller coaster. She's part of my team, and she's absolutely amazing. And today, she's going to be interviewing me instead of me doing the interviewing. So we'll see where this goes. But I want to take you guys behind the scenes, share a little bit about the big, bold business moves that I'm making within Lean Out Method, as well as share how you can be recognizing when and if it's time to be making a big, bold business move of your own, as well as some things that you really want to be considering so that you're setting yourself up for success. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica and let her do her thing and put myself on the hot seat for a change. So Jess, over to you.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be able to flip the script and ask you questions for a change. So I know that everyone's going to be excited to hear all of your insight today, including myself. So we know that you've just made a bold business move. So I really want to know what led you to that point? What kind of got you confident enough to make that move?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who have been in any of the trainings I've done before, anything where I do that vision exercise, because I take you guys through a vision exercise in a lot of the different live trainings that I do. And as part of that, I always share my vision with everybody as inspiration to get the wheels turning. And so for any of you who've been through one of those workshops, one of the things in my vision that I've always shared is I really want to move from working with corporate clients to working 100% exclusively with entrepreneurs and small business owners. I've always done both. I've done both for, over 20 years now. And my corporate clients, as much as I love them and I love the transformation that I'm able to make with them on this really large, massive scale, if you've ever worked with corporate clients, things are usually a pretty stressful environment. Things are very slow moving. And it's just, I'm finding over time, I'm not taking the same satisfaction and fulfillment from the work that I'm doing with them as I'm getting out of working with entrepreneurs and small business owners, where I'm much more close to the impact. And I feel like not only am I helping them to transform their business, but because I work with a lot of coaches and consultants, I feel like it's more of a force multiplication where I'm helping them and then they're helping their clients. So it's just like that ripple effect of more and more people building sustainable success and being able to successfully scale their business. That was what I really wanted to be doing. And I reached this point in my business where I was having to say no to the entrepreneurs and small business owners that I wanted to work with because I was at capacity, because my corporate clients took up a lot of my time. They took up about 40-ish hours a week of my time. Now I flexed that and I made it work, but I could only take on a small handful of private clients because, as you know, I'm really big on balance and I don't want to be, nor do I believe that we should be, working 24/7. So when you've got a client that takes up that much of your schedule and that much of your time, there's only so much space left over. And when I got to the point that I had to say no to people who wanted to work with me, when I got to the point where I had to put on pause some of my programs that I really wanted to do, but I just didn't have both the space in my schedule to do it, but also the mental space to do it. And that was a really, really big thing. And this is something that I was sharing in my Facebook group in one of the lives that I did recently is all time is not created equal. And it truly is quality over quantity. And what I was finding with my corporate clients is the time that I was investing in them, even if I could have cut my hours back, even if I could have worked with less clients or less groups and less teams, it was all consuming mentally. So it wasn't about the number of hours I was working. It was about the space that was being taken up in my brain. And the fact that when you have something something that's so all consuming like that, it becomes really hard to do the strategic things that you need to do to work on your business. I could do busy work in my business, no problem, but that's not my zone of genius. It's not what I want to be doing. My role as the visionary leader in my business, I should be doing the strategy work. So I was finding that over time, I was starting to spend my weekends doing that because that was when I had time away from my corporate clients. And so I found that I was starting to work more. I didn't like the fact that I was starting to trade my personal life for my business, which is something I believe so strongly in not doing. And I coach all of my clients not to do. And I started to feel out of alignment with my values and my beliefs and what I truly believe is a successful recipe for business and for scaling. I just knew that it was time for a change for all of those reasons, plus many more. And so I decided that I was going to make the change. You know, I've worked with corporate clients for 2 decades, and it wasn't until this new one that I started working with in August of last year that things got to this point. I was able to balance it really well in the past, but there was something about this new client that I started working with in August that was just that all consuming, taking all of my brain power. And it was honestly a really stressful environment. And I thought, well, that's fine. I'll just end my engagement and I can move on to another corporate client. But I chose not to, just because I would still be what I call choosing good over great. Like, as much as my corporate clients pay a lot, that's one of the reasons I work with them, right? And it's that really consistent recurring revenue. I work with them for long periods of time. Sometimes I work with them for years, if not at least for a couple months. There's a lot to be said about having that nice, consistent recurring revenue in your business where you don't have to worry about things. And so I really appreciated that. But at the same time, I was like, it's good. Working with them is good, but I want great. I want amazing. I want to wake up and be like just completely on fire, ready to work with my clients and wanting to work with my clients. I don't want to feel like it's okay to go work with a client. Like, I really want that passion fueled focus in my day. And so that was part of when I knew that it was time to make the transition. So here I am. This is my first week actually working 100% exclusively with entrepreneurs and small business owners with no corporate clients, which is the first time I've done this in 21 years.
That's it. One, I'm really excited for you, and then just being so aware. I think that that is a key component to a lot of what you just said. That self-awareness of realizing, like in that statement, all time is not created equal. Realizing that it was all consuming and that you weren't kind of being able to dwell in what you were passionate about, even though you cared about your corporate clients. It's one of those things to where you realize you weren't able to kind of stay in that space where you were passionate. So that awareness was very critical. Okay, so we know overall that there were just these things that were exposed to you, but was there one key catalyst that just was like, now is the time? What made it so distinct to you that it was like, no more right now?
Yeah, and so I'm going to start us off in a slightly different place and get back to your question because I feel like a little backstory here will help. And so I think that when you make decisions in your business, especially decisions like this, which are really big business moves, right? This is huge. I just cut off one of my major sources of income and a client base that I have worked with for more than 21 years. This is not a small little thing like launching a new program. This is a pretty big business move. And I think throughout the life cycle of our businesses, we hit these points in time where it makes sense sometimes to make these decisions. And I think the key is, how do you make the decision? And it has to be, I think, a balance of trusting your intuition and trusting your gut. And it's not blind intuition. It's the fact that you're a seasoned business owner. You've been in business for a long time. If you're anything like most of my clients, you have enough knowledge and enough data to really be able to trust your intuition because you have a pretty good feel for what's going to happen. But on top of that is the data and the metrics and the analytics. And so I think you have to do a blend of both. And the interesting thing is, which gets at your question, if you really purely looked at the data and purely looked at the analytics, the time is not right. I had planned to make this move sometime in 2022, probably towards the end of Q1. That's when on paper it makes sense to make that move. However, my intuition was telling me the time is right now, make this change right now. So that was the catalyst for me doing it and for me making the decision to leave right now. And it's one of those things where I think if you are someone who is naturally very decisive, but you do weigh the pros and cons of things, you are analytical by nature, you are paying attention to things and really trying to make informed decisions, but your intuition just will not quit. You are getting these constant, like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, the time is now, the time is now, the time is now. And you're just having this feeling repeatedly over and over again. I think you need to trust that. And for me, it was me trusting that. Now, a little caveat that I will say there is if you are naturally an intuition based person, you do everything in your business based on intuition. You don't ever look at the data or the metrics. And a lot of times that intuition does not serve you. You end up being kind of reactionary. And as a result, it can kind of hurt what you're doing in your business, right? Then make sure that you're looking at the data and analytics. But if you are somebody who does make really logical, informed decisions, but your intuition, just like I said, will not quit, and it's kind of all roads are pointing to now is the time, I do think that as entrepreneurs, we need to learn to trust that. For me, it was, I think many of you know, but New Year's Eve 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I started off 2020 going through my treatments. I was very fortunate that I did not need chemotherapy, which I was really worried about. So super grateful I didn't need that. But I did have some major surgery. I did have radiation. I had a lot of things that happened to kick off 2020. And then we all know what happened to the world in 2020, right? So 2020 was quite the experience for me personally and for the entire world, I'm sure for all of you as well. And so when I really thought about that, I was reflecting on it one day and I was saying, you know, you hear when people have these either near-death experiences or these like major things that happen in their life, like being diagnosed with some sort of major disease, right? When people have these things happen, they tend to have these epiphanies and completely want to change their life and be like, I can't believe I spent my whole life doing this. I should have done this. And for me, I was really thinking and saying, I don't have a big epiphany. Like, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I feel like I should be doing in my life. But it made me look at, again, going back to good versus great, it just made me look at things through a different lens. Like, I'm so appreciative that I'm okay. I am okay and I feel great and I feel super healthy and my diagnosis is wonderful. A lot of people aren't that lucky. And I just feel like I don't want to spend the time that I have, which feels like a gift to me at this point, doing something that's just good. I want to do something that's absolutely amazing. And as much as I loved everything I was doing, I loved certain things more. And I wanted to do those things more. And that was part of what my intuition was kind of calling me towards. The other thing is, entrepreneurs and small business owners don't stress me out. I enjoy working with them. Not saying it's easy all the time, but they don't stress me out. My corporate clients, they stress me out. And I just keep thinking, what's my best chance personally for that long-term health and having my positive outcome remain a positive outcome is me taking care of myself and really prioritizing self-care. Sure, I do a lot for self-care. You guys know I talk about that a lot. But I think also part of self-care is saying no to the things that are not serving you. When I'm stressed out, I don't eat great. I want wine. I want like all of the things that aren't good for me. When I love what I'm doing and I am waking up feeling like on fire with everything that I'm doing all day, completely different. Give me salad all day long and I'm great with it. Like, doesn't matter. And so I just knew that even from my own personal health and well-being and just living the life that I feel like I was kind of gifted here at this point, then to me, this was the time for the change. So hope that makes sense, but that's just a little bit of my kind of journey in getting to the point of saying, I'm doing it now, even if on paper it says wait a while still. And the other thing that I just want to add to that is I also can do it now. So that's another thing that I think is really important is instead of asking, should I do this? I took the time instead to say, how could I do this? I think it's a really different move. If the answer had come back that I absolutely couldn't do it, I might not have chosen to do it now. But I've had a lot of success in my business. I've made some really good financial decisions. I'm in a place where even if on paper the right time might be later, if you purely look at books, I'm in a place where I can do it now. And so it was that flip as well as moving away from the should I to the how could I, it really did help with feeling confident in moving forward now and trusting my intuition more instead of purely just looking at the data and metrics.
Nice. With everything you said, it's so powerful because of the fact that one of the key components that you said earlier, you mentioned balance. And it's like that balance has been an aspect that's kind of helped you along your journey from what it sounds like, even just like mentality of like the whole making sure that you, if you have that analytical, logical side and balancing out with that intuitive side, it's just like making sure that you combine that and that help guide your decision. That sounds like something that a lot of people need to be mindful of. Even myself, it's very helpful just to be reminded of that from time to time. And thank you for sharing your journey because it's something that I feel could be useful to help people along their journeys, even though it may not be similar or parallel. It's just something that could be used as a good motivator to help them when, especially those moments where epiphanies take place and everything else. So I'm excited for that. When it comes to all of your like your big moves and your motivators, and now you've taken this step, it's like, what's next for you? What are you thinking now?
Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about this timing is the world is starting to open back up again. And retreats were a really big part of my business model going into 2020. I think, like many of us, we were going into this new decade. It was going to be the most amazing year ever. I kicked off January with this amazing retreat right before I went and had my surgery. It was great. And I was planning to do another one in June and then another one in October. And then COVID happened, right? And so obviously all of that had to change. And even this year, although I technically could do retreats, I really wanted to hold off and focus on the other pieces of my business that I pivoted towards. But come 2022, retreats are back. And that is my happy place. That, I mean, I am a big believer in lean, as you guys know, but I believe in lean plus lux. It's got to be lux. Like lean isn't about going down to the bare minimum and having it be super dry and super boring. To me, lean is about getting in alignment with what fuels you and what matters most and what you're super passionate about. So it's this constant lean plus lux type of vibe. And to me, that's what my retreats provide. We do these beautiful lux locations. It's very much 3 days worth of intensive work on your business combined with self-care and pampering yourself and really blending the lean and the lux, right? We do the tough work of leaning things out in your business and getting clear on what's next and how you can grow your business to that next level and grow yourself as a leader to the next level. But we also really take care of your mind and yourself and your mindset as well on top of it. And so to me, that's one of the things that I'm so incredibly excited about that's coming next. Plus my Simplify to Scale Business Accelerator, I'm finally able to bring that back. It's an amazing program. It does help businesses to scale and to scale in a really simple and a really sustainable way. I'm super passionate about helping people with building sustainable success. To me, that's what it's all about. None of this like quick overnight, like trying to hit the home run and have everything magically work. It's you want a business that's going to last and you want a business that balances the things that are important to you in your business with the things that are important to you in your personal life. And that's what sustainable success is to me. So the fact that I'm able to bring the accelerator back, I'm beyond ecstatic for that. And I really did have to pause it for a little bit, A, while I was going through my treatments, but then B, it's really high touch, like really, really high touch. You're with me and with my team almost every day of the week. It's a ton of support to help businesses. And I just didn't feel like I could dedicate the time or the energy to that while I was working with my corporate clients. So now I can go in and do even more support and accountability than I was able to before. So really, really excited for that. And just, I feel like I'm back to the business model that I've always wanted. And my business model and what I'm going to be spending my time doing with all of you guys spending your time doing the things that are your unique zone of genius as well. I feel like everything is now in alignment, whereas things were feeling out of alignment for a little bit with such the kind of all-consuming nature of that corporate client that I was working with most recently. So yeah, really, really excited. There's a lot more that's next. You know, I'm releasing a new update to the Lean Out Planner. That's about to come out. So lots of little things in the works, but the retreats coming back and the accelerator coming back are the two things that I'm beyond ecstatic about.
Nice. Two very well, more than just two, but I know I'm personally really excited about both the retreat and the accelerator. And it's even having a recent conversation about the retreat. I know that others are excited and looking forward to that as well, especially since everything is opening back up. So that's something that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to. I've heard you mention a particular statement a couple of times, and I want to ask you to tell me where that kind of came from. So you've been saying this, no longer willing to trade today for tomorrow. So what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so this is something that honestly, my retreat, my accelerator, my personal big bold business move is based on. And something I think all of you should really think about today is, where are you trading today for tomorrow? And I think that the people who are ready for something like the accelerator, or to work with me, or even to make a big bold business move in their business, they are no longer willing to trade today for tomorrow. And I think if you think about our culture, especially those of us who have worked with or had corporate jobs in the past, what is it that we're trained basically, or kind of encouraged to do? Is you work today to save for retirement so that tomorrow you can live the life that you really want. And when you take that to entrepreneurship, I think it's like hustle, 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 give up your personal life, give up everything that matters to you for your business, because tomorrow things are going to be great and it's going to be rainbows and unicorns and you're going to have everything magically working, right? And so I think that by nature, just whether you grew up more in that corporate route or whether you've been an entrepreneur basically since birth, it's whichever path you're on, I feel like there's all of these messages of sacrifice today for tomorrow. And I think so many of us do that. I certainly was doing that to an extent. As much as I love everything that I'm doing, I could have made this change a long time ago. I didn't need to wait to make this change, but I did. And I really want to encourage all of you, if there's something that you're doing when you look at your today and you find yourself saying, well, I hope this is worth it, or, well, I'm just doing this now because I'm going to. It's kind of the I will when type statements. If you're hearing too much of that and you really feel like you are trading today for tomorrow, it's not to put a pessimistic thing on it, but life is sometimes shorter than we expect. And I truly believe we should enjoy every single moment of what we're doing. Yes, entrepreneurship can be really challenging sometimes. There are highs, highest highs, lowest lows that you will probably ever experience in your life, but it's an amazing journey. It's ours. We're building something from scratch. We are taking a vision that was in our head and we are turning it into a business. We are helping other people. We're creating products or offering services. We're doing something that impacts other people's lives. That's huge. That's amazing. We should be enjoying that. We should be looking forward to that. Even the hard times, we should be appreciating that they are just a step on our journey to get us to what's next. And I feel like if you've lost that and you really truly feel like you're trading today for tomorrow, that is your indicator that it is time for a big, bold business move. And it is most certainly an indicator that it is time to simplify and reimagine your business model.
Right. Man, hearing that and just realizing the power of conditioning throughout your life. And even when you mentioned just like working now for retirement, which is a concept that a lot of people just can't let go, and it's other things that align and are parallel to that concept. It's just one of those things where it's so powerful because you can get lost in not enjoying what you have today, what you're working, and you just like, honestly, it's like you just get lost. So hearing you say all of what you just said just meant so much to me, because it's again, just another reminder, a fresh way of looking at it, to where you don't have to accept that mentality of just hustling and sacrificing everything that's important to you, especially when we don't know what tomorrow could bring, just taking certain things, especially time, for granted. So thank you for elaborating on that, especially hearing it gives it even more meaning to me now. So thank you for that. So at the end of all of your podcast interviews, you ask a particular question. And so today I want to ask you, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean in your business?
I love getting asked this question when I always ask everybody this question, and I love to hear what everybody has to say. So again, if you guys have been in any trainings with me, you know this is something that I talk about all the time. But seriously, I get all the time from people like, I don't understand how you get so much done. How are you so productive? Just you get more done in a week than most people get done in a month. How do you do it? The secret to my success in working smarter, not harder, and keeping things lean is twofold. A, alignment, making sure that the things I'm working on are the things that are actually going to deliver the vision and goals that I've set for my business. But two, focus blocks. all about focus blocks. It is always focus blocks. The way that I structure my day and the way that I've learned to play to my strengths, like my morning time is my strategic time. It is when my brain is at its absolute best. It's when I'm the most creative. Sundays or Mondays, depending on if I'm doing a Sunday through Thursday work week or a Monday through Friday work week, which I do alternate between throughout the year. Those days are my days when I tend to do all my content management because I've taken 2 days off. My brain is just really creative. I just wake up full of ideas. And so not only do I create big uninterrupted blocks of time to focus on stuff, but I also leverage those blocks of time strategically in my calendar so that I am playing to my strengths. And again, quality over quantity. I may work the exact same number of hours week over week over week, but if I don't structure my days in that way, I'm going to get dramatically different outputs. I've learned how to get amazingly good outcomes and outputs based on structuring my day, leveraging focus blocks, and playing to my strengths in the way that I have. And I highly recommend that all of you do the same thing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing your insight. I know I'm personally biased towards the focus blocks. They optimize my workday so much more. So that concept is something that's near and dear to me as well. Thank you for all of your insight and for answering my questions and for letting us dive deeper into your bold business move.
Awesome. Yeah, Jess, thanks. It was fun being interviewed for a change. So everybody, will see you next week. But before we wrap up today, just to summarize, make sure that as you are thinking about those changes that you're making in your business, really analyze a lot of what we talked about. Do you have that feeling of trading today for tomorrow? Are there things that you're doing that you are not fueled by, that you are not passionate about, that you are spending your time sacrificing now for something that's going to come later? Yes, there's moments of that throughout our entrepreneurial journey, but make sure that's not your normal. Really make sure that's not your normal. And then really look at, is it time to make a big, bold business move? And flip the script of should I to how could I, and try to take that spirit of possibility and openness and just really going out and looking at how could I make this happen? This thing that I really want that feels kind of impossible, either to me or in my industry or right now. Just really give yourself the freedom and the space to play with it. Like play, literally that word play, with how could you make it happen, and then create a plan, right? It's not a Band-Aid. You don't just like rip the Band-Aid off and tomorrow your business is 100% different than today. You've got commitments, you've got clients, you've got a lot of things probably planned, but commit to making that change when the time is right and put together a solid transition plan to get you there. This is how you make big, bold business moves in your business. I hope my story helped you just kind of think through and see maybe some places where you want to look at the same, right? Hopefully you don't have the same health catalyst for your decision, but we all have different things, and it doesn't need to be something dramatic. You can make this change today simply because you want to, and I think you should. Just give yourself that space to really think about it and to explore what's possible. And with that, we will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.